And let's take a look at what's going on, because we had a busy week.
Oh, yeah.
And we're going into, I mean, is the dollar stronger? Absolutely. We spent a lot of time under 105 in euro. Cable got hit almost 100 pips last night.
Yeah.
Yen's taken a trouncing this morning, but throughout all that, we're ending up with a stronger dollar as we go into the end of the week.
Yeah, no,
but on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and even yesterday, you had opportunities. If you wanted to be a dollar bear and be the contrarian, there were reasonable points where you could have made money doing that. You could have bought, Aussie cheap and flipped it. You could have bought yen and turned it, or sold dollar yen and bought it back. It gave you back and forth, which is what, as traders, that's what we want. Where it gets tough sometimes as a contrarian is if we trade down to a new range. Yeah, like what we, if we trade down to a new range and it just keeps pounding down with, that rally in NASDAQ on
relentless.
Was it Wednesday?
Yeah.
It was off of the CPI,
right,
was unrelenting. I mean, It rallied 350 points, and I think the most we had until the end of the day was a 20-point pullback that lasted just a little bit of time.
Yeah.
That's a really tough trade to be a contrarian on, because all you're doing is covering losers if you're, God forbid, you're not adding.
Right.
So, but here we got two-way action.
Yeah.
Now, we're getting a little bit of buying end of the week in euro. Again, we got through the ECB announcement. They were supposedly, the news talking heads talk about it was a bit more hawkish. I don't know how hawkish it is when you can barely wrap yourself around 105.
Yeah.
But we kind of, are we bottoming here? I don't know. It's an interesting Friday. We'll see. Maybe they take a little bit out of the shorts here as we go into a relatively quiet day. We have no numbers. We've had numbers or central bank news every day of the week.
Yep.
No numbers here. I could see a little bit of short covering coming in at the end of the day. When I say the end of the day, start of our day is we're already into 1 o'clock in London. So that'll kind of, by 10:30, the markets tend to get a little bit thinner as London comes out and it's just U.S. left trading FX. So I could see us getting a little bit into euro. We're seeing a little bit into Aussie. Does this mean the bottom's in? I don't think we can say that, because I don't think until we get above 106, two-way risk's been put back into the market. So, mindful around what your expectations are if you're bottom picking here. And how long you stay married to them. But definitely this whole week has given you back and forth, which as a trader is what you want.
Yeah, you nailed it. And look no further than this euro dollar, because it's given you all you really want in the dollar. Just a really interesting timing wise that we had all that news. Thursday especially, we had that rate announcement and then PPI. Hotter than expected, and you were just getting really big swings back and forth, not in any crazy ranges, but yeah, just an opportunity to get in and get out. And I like what you said here is that today, no news, we kind of do have an opportunity to see where the dust settles on the week, see what natural price action we can get. And this morning, looking like a strong euro bid tone back above 105. But you're right, if you zoom out here, this 106 is really the level to watch. We've been talking about the 105 level just because it's been crossing back and forth, but really hasn't been able to sustain anything above 106 all the way back to mid-November when it was just tanking. So do we get there today? Probably not, given that would be another 100 pips as we go into this kind of thinner market conditions. But
right.
What do we think for next week? We've got.
I think next week we have a solid. Right, we've got the Fed. It seems like a foregone conclusion.
Right.
It'll be the wording, not the rate change. But we'll have a solid week of trading. It'll get a little thinner because Christmas lands on a Wednesday, so that Monday, Tuesday will be interesting to see how much we actually, markets will continue to move a little bit. But
yeah, and it's interesting. Where I'm looking,
go ahead.
Looking forward. Is to this pound dollar. Yesterday, we saw a huge move in favor of the dollar. against the pound with neighboring European Central Bank cutting rates and the Swiss National Bank cutting rates. And this move was kind of sustained throughout the day. Wasn't really all in the morning. If we take a look at the hourly chart here, we saw it on Thursday morning. But yeah, just continuing to tick lower all the way into the London Open this morning, but now bouncing back lower.
Right. And so we looked at euro, we looked at pound, and looking at those two, euro actually has been the weaker of the two. It has really been beaten up more. Now I'm doing that from just making an assumption and looking at trading these every day. Great way to look at that relationship. And this is what's great about FX is let's go to the horse's mouth. Let's go to euro sterling. Let's not try to guess. Let's see what the relative value of these two currencies has been.
Exactly. And this has been an interesting one.
Yeah.
If we zoom out, give some more context about where we were before the European Central Bank meeting, we were under 82.50, which going all the way back to 2022 is the low. And so we've been under 83 here recently. But yeah, just a huge move in favor of the pound. And now the euro getting some of that fight back, which we've seen. You nailed it that when you're looking against the dollar in both of them, you can kind of tell, you can kind of see it just based on looking at both of them. But here in this euro sterling cross, you can see it directly.
Absolutely. And even if you don't want to trade euro sterling, if you're like, well, I'm not sure about not trading a non-dollar pair, and honestly, we should be indifferent to whether it's got a dollar in the quote field or not. What we were concerned about is there good liquidity? Can I get access to the product 24 hours a day? Yes. And, make our decisions accordingly. But if you were looking at the real extreme, it was this relationship even more so the last couple of days than just euro or just sterling, which had both exhibited different bouts of weakness on different days. So you're spot on, Glenn. It is a good way to analyze whether you want to trade euros. Again, this euro bounce is as much a correction of this relationship being a little bit oversold as it is euro US. So a little bit of context. It's easy to package up and it doesn't make you have to be a macroeconomist or, mathematical genius to be able to go and, and the ability to skin and eat a possum all in one sitting. I mean, skills you get with a math degree.
Exactly.
But that's what I really like about being able to look at this and being able to trade these different products. And these are things that you can't construct anywhere else. There's no ETF. Can you use futures to do this? Yeah, but you're margining on both the long euro and the short sterling, and the weightings are difficult to do. So can you do it? Sure. Is it easier to do when I can trade the pair rather than building my synthetic pair? Absolutely. Less friction, less slippage, easier to get in and out of. So, just one way to do it. So when you look at that, this is a pretty healthy bounce off those lows. And those lows, as you said, that was the real extreme.
Yeah. And this will be interesting to watch into next week because we do have the Bank of England meeting next week. And that's been more interesting in my eyes recently because they kind of have this proclivity or historical tendency to latch on to either the European Central Bank or the U.S. And now they might get a chance to do either or. The conditions have been different, obviously here in the U.S., but they've stuck to the U.S. stronger than the ECB. Even though
let's jump over the calendar because I don't even know what they've got on track. So I'm guessing there's a cut of some amount. Our calendar, tastyfx, is just fantastic. Having driven through enough of these in my lifetime, you can just dive right in and find what you need to.
So here we got the Fed rate decision on the 18th,
right,
and the Bank of England decision on the 19th. And so, they've been cutting, expected to hold here.
Oh, so they're expected to hold. Okay, so that's interesting. So 475, they're expected to hold. They actually printed a bit higher than us, and our trajectory is, let's go to our meeting on the 18th, and Glenn, and we can take a look. Okay, what's the Fed expected to do? What cut?
Yep. Yeah.
Cut by another 25 basis points. So that'll bring
Exactly.
us in line with them. Obviously, ECB, Swiss, we know, down to 1%. So it's definitely a race a little bit down. Why the outperformance of the pound until today over euro? Well, you look at the rate difference. It's 475 versus sub 4 in Europe. So does it tie as a 1-for-1 every day? No. And interest rates are part of the equation. We're looking at bonds and notes right now in the U.S. on their lows as we go into the U.S. session. So you think, well, U.S. rates are higher, the dollar should be stronger. It's not a 1-to-1 ratio.
Right.
You can't say that as euro rallies and the dollar gets sold a little bit this morning. But before we jump off, let's take a look at the yen, because yen definitely had some movement overnight. Weakest of the group, weakest, dollar yen up, inching in, I'm back to that 154 level. And Bank of Japan has a meeting. Is it this month, I think?
That Wednesday night. So right in between
Okay.
The U.S. and the Bank of England. So yeah, really action-packed slate next week. But yeah, this has been an interesting one just because, in my eyes at least, we've been seeing just kind of the 150, 151, but haven't paid too much attention to it. Now 153 this morning, it was like, oh man. And you see the chart that just all week it's been taking higher.
Wow. And is it, you're on a daily candle.
Exactly.
You're on a daily candle, right?
Yep.
That's five up days in a row. Statistically, that's got to lend itself to a little bit of, I think, getting into that probability level. Yeah, yen is definitely, they've marked yen down. The BOJ leaked through the usual sources. They have no interest in hiking rates next week. And the yen was already down there when they said it. Yeah. Dollar was already up there, the highs when they said it, and the dollar actually sold off on a little bit of the news. It doesn't. That's why you don't say I got to buy dollar yen because the Bank of Japan said they're not going to hike. That's all built in. It's all priced in. So don't get caught up in that. But this will be an interesting one because technically, when you just look at tape action, euro's getting. Again, we're up to 105.20 right now, 105.15. We're above 105. But yen, technically, the damage is probably a little bit more prevalent in dollar yen right now. If we go out at these levels, it's going to be tough to say that there's a little bit of two-way risk for these longs of dollar yen longs right now going into next week. So,
but you still have.
It'll be interesting to see.
Yeah. We were looking at the daily chart earlier. Now I've switched it to the hourly chart. And you can still see that intraday, we are still seeing some back and forth throughout the week. Here Tuesday, seeing some down ticks before just shooting up. So it's still tough to pick those ranges, but you are seeing a little bit more two-way action intraday than it would appear on the daily chart of just dollar strength.
Absolutely. And Glenn, the big green bar out to the up, was that CPI on Tuesday?
Looks like earlier, so early Tuesday morning or Wednesday morning.
Okay. Wednesday morning. Okay, very good. So, and again, from a technical standpoint, we're not able to plumb lower levels. The big bars or the big moves to the upside aren't retraced in any dramatic fashion. They kind of hold and grind. So this one, as much as you want to say what's the most overvalued, and just from looking at distance moved, dollar yen has run the farthest, the fastest, but the tape action from my standpoint doesn't necessarily say that they're done yet. Is yen on sale, so to speak, right now? Absolutely. If you want to play that, you certainly can. But again, I like to see a little bit more two-way action before I tend to lean. So we'll see. It'll be interesting. We do have, this is a tough one. This is the only central bank that says we're going to announce sometime.
Yeah.
And they give you a window between 11 and 1:30 in the morning our time, which nobody's up at, or I'm not up at least. So it's tough to, when it comes out and trade. But it looks like that's not going to be an event, and it'll just be this overriding thinking of, okay, the rate differential continues to make owning yen difficult to do, both from a swap point basis, and from a positioning basis. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays through. But good, solid week. We'll see how much legs this dollar sell-off has. It'll be interesting to see if it continues through the rest of the day. Maybe we got a little bit of legs. But if we get up, 9:30, 10 o'clock in the morning, and we start seeing the rally cease and roll over a little bit, I got to say, dollar's still got the stronger hand here, and these currencies are going to have a harder time rallying.
Absolutely.
But lots to do. Great walkthrough, my friend, as always. Good to be with you. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Everybody out there, thanks for tuning in. Everyone have a fantastic weekend, and we'll be back with you at 6:30 Monday morning for more Forex Focus. Have a great weekend.
Thanks, guys.